everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got a guest who hasn't been on this show, but she's not new to Indie Film Cafe at all. Please welcome JoLynn. How you doing, JoLynn?
Hey, I'm pretty good.
So Joe was a person who got invited from Paul. Like you met Paul, Paul,
Hmm.
and then he kind of, uh grabbed your arm, twisted it, made you do all the come be a part of our show and everything, which we were very happy you were because you bring a different voice to our show, and everything. So I was like, well, I need some more people for this, and I wanted to find people who hadn't been on the show before, and I said, for you. And this was something I wanted. This one particular one I've seen before, a couple years ago. It's not like new to me or anything. But I actually really liked it. I remember, and then after seeing it, it's okay. It's got its problems, but I remember liking it at first when I first watched it, and I think that's because I have a huge crush on Kirby Bliss Blanton, and she was one of the actresses that is in the movie. She plays Kristen, and she was also in like The Green Inferno and a ton of other films.
I
So, and
still haven't seen The Green Inferno. It's on my list
it's on your list. Well, there you go. You should
as
watch it.
one
It's
of the
good.
hardest movies to watch. It's apparently pretty gruesome.
It's pretty gruesome. It's pretty much a remake without saying it's a remake of Cannibal Holocaust. So, in fact, Green Inferno is what Cannibal Holocaust, you know, um, the title was, in like certain cities or some certain places.
Oh,
So yeah, so Eli Roth was a big fan of that. Cannibal Holocaust is a movie that I haven't even seen, and I'm supposed to watch it someday when we do our show on like extreme horror, kind of things. But it's not a film I'm really like anxious to watch, because
can't
it's
imagine that.
yeah. Well, there's some movies I don't, that I'm not comfortable with and stuff, and that's one of them. But a lot of people talk about that movie all the time, and it was like banned from the US and stuff. So like it's got its own like little thing. But this movie, Tell Me How I Die, I'd heard about it through Kirby, and I met her at Scares That Care, which you went to this year.
I
So
did.
the
Yeah.
last year, sadly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody knew that was gonna happen.
Well, yeah, but I'm glad I got to go once before because, I think Paul had invited me like 2 or 3 years in a row and I just was always working or something. So
Yeah,
finally
I'm
got to
glad you
go.
went. You guys had a fun
Yeah.
time, it looked like.
Oh man, I got so many like creepy things and lots of creepy swag. I mean, and I met some like the guy who played the kid in The Shining. Like, what? Really?
Yeah,
That
you
was
got to meet him.
amazing.
Nice.
Yeah,
Danny.
amazing. Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
that I was very surprised.
yeah, he was really nice. I've met him before. I think he's been to Scares I Care before. So he was really really nice. This you know, I met Kirby at Scares I Care, and I remember I watched this movie like right before I met her, and everything. So I was talking to her about it, and she said she was sort of, uh, she said she was hoping because like when she originally got sent the script, it was much darker and had like a more gruesome death for her. And then
Mm-hmm.
this one, it became more like PG-13, and I think
Yeah.
that was like the either distributors or the whoever, producers wanted to make it a little easier for people to watch or whatever. And I think if she had known that that's what they were going to do before they did it, she probably would have not shown up, or said, I'm not, like that wasn't the deal, the script.
Yeah.
It happens a lot actually where
I
scripts get
imagine.
changed. So kind of sucks for some people because some people are expecting it to be, more epic or more whatever, and then they get there and they're like, oh man, this kind of, whatever. But it didn't bother me when I watched it. I don't know. I was like kind of sad for her death, her death seemed really weird at the end though. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
almost seemed CGI'd or something,
Well,
you know?
there definitely was some CGI, like the fire scene was
Hmm.
definitely all CGI.
You don't
Um,
think they had permission to burn that freaking
I
stuff down?
mean, it's cheap to burn down a laboratory, isn't it? Especially as an indie, you can just buy a laboratory and burn it down.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know. I've never tried, maybe Paul and I need to get on that and start finding another laboratory just to burn down. Well, I mean, it would make sense if they were already gonna like, destroy it and like, hey, can we film here? And
You
then
could
we'll
probably
destroy it for
build
you.
an entire business model around that. Like, hey, we'll find all of the buildings that are going to be demolished in, a square mileage radius and say, and then you make a database out of them and you sell like the rights for people to come film it for their indie movies. There you
There
go.
you go. There's an
There's your
app
get
for
rich
that,
quick
right?
scheme.
Like
Yeah,
there'd be
right,
a,
right.
you know, find, dilapidated warehouses.
Indiedestruction.com. Indie destruction.
I like it. I feel like that's already taken. That sounds like an amazing, thing. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But anywho, that's great. If not, we'll trademark it here.
We'll start it.
Uh,
Yeah. TM.
exactly. Um, but so the beginning of the movie, I guess you kind of meet like you meet the main girl. She's just looking for work, or even before that. Well, we kind of see a
Yeah,
little bit.
there's a nice, I like the way it opens because you have no idea what's going on and then somebody dies and you're like, well, how did that happen and what do these creepy drawings have to do with it? And they don't tell you. It just goes on. You don't find out for like an hour what that was all about.
And
So
I'm
that was
still a
kind of neat.
little confused, as to what exactly happened, like who was that guy in the beginning,
I got
like,
that. I think I got that. That was the main doctor in the film. That was his research partner.
oh, that's right. He talked about like his research partner was not
Mhm.
around or whatever and
Right, and
stuff.
he
They
was
kept
trying to
calling
call
him.
him, calling him, and he had just died from obviously the dude. How much are we avoiding spoilers
Oh,
here? Are we?
there's spoilers.
Okay, okay.
Like in this.
I didn't. Okay, good.
It's
Good,
kind of like
yeah.
Indie Film Cafe. Indie Film Cafe, we do spoilers. I mean, because sometimes you just, if it's short, like quick review Thursday, we don't do spoilers, because it's just short. If you're gonna
Mhm.
spoil a movie when it's short, we basically try to beat around the bush for a lot of stuff
But you're
on that one.
assuming people have seen it if they're watching this, right?
Yes,
Okay, good. Okay.
yes, and
Nice.
yeah, I assume for all of the 31 days of Indie Horror, and I usually tell people throughout the show at some point that you can watch this on Tubi. Like this is something, go watch it on Tubi. Don't, but we are going to spoil the hell out of it. So there's
Okay, good.
spoilers,
Good. Well, anyway,
um,
so that's the research assistant. And I think he explains it at the very end, like when he's locked, when the main doctor is locked in the room, in the safe room. Ha ha ha. And he says that basically this patient that they've driven to madness with their experimentation is trying to force them to kill themselves, these two doctors. It's like a revenge thing for him. And
mhm.
he gets to the other doctor at his house, and then the doctor finds the pictures, the drawings that the guy did, and the drawings are of his family being dead. And he's like, kill yourself or I kill them all.
Right.
So, so that's how we got to him.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
well, at the beginning of the movie, we see the research assistant guy, the whatever his assistant, murdered, and we don't see who he's murdered by or whatever, because
Oh,
I
he
guess
kills
that's,
himself. He
does
kills
he?
himself.
I
Yeah.
thought he was already like murder. Man,
No, he totally just watch the beginning scene again. You'll see it because I actually just rewatched the beginning tonight and I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense after
oh,
having
okay.
seen the
You know
whole
what?
thing.
I only watched it
But
like
yeah, yeah, but
I only
he
watched
kills
it
himself
today,
with
but
a
I
knife.
watched it earlier and then totally like because it happened so quickly, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, it's like it happens fast and then you don't think about it for an hour, because there's nothing related to that for like at least an hour
Yeah,
into the movie.
I totally forgot about it for
But yeah,
like
he just walks into the kitchen, picks up a knife, and then he goes out into the snow and or does he? I
all
can't
right, well,
remember.
I'll need to
No, he
rewatch that because I don't even pick up the kitchen. I didn't remember the kitchen at all.
yeah,
Um
just watch the first like 2 minutes again and you'll be like, "Oh, it all comes together."
then we meet the main girl,
Mhm.
who's at the bar, and she's
Yep.
apparently can psychically choose what like people are gonna buy, like what drinks they're gonna get, and
Which I just took as, she's good at reading people, but it's
mhm.
kind of a little foreshadowing, isn't it?
Yeah, like
I,
she
I
sort
didn't think
of
about
like
it until just now.
yeah, she was sort of, that always kind of like I wondered if that was going to come into play later, when
Yeah.
she had those flashes and stuff, like if like it would trigger her actual psychic abilities and stuff, as well
Hmm.
or whatever. Because it's interesting that like it starts off talking about how she's knows, what her people are going to drink. Then later she actually sees real like glimpses of the future. Well, glimpses,
Right.
like teeny tiny glimpses. She doesn't see even like a whole thing of it.
Right.
So she, but I really like that. I like that she was at the bar, and I guess she used to work at that bar. That's why she could tell, what everybody was gonna get,
Yeah.
that one girl was gonna ask for a pina colada, but they didn't have a blender, and then she asked for a daiquiri.
Daiquiri. And it's like, okay, sweetie, I think you've had enough already. Just go away.
Yeah, just go look at our specialties.
Right.
And then so then she guesses one guy, but like it's wrong because the guy's actually coming up to ask for help or whatever. And that's the guy that she ends up seeing at the
Yeah.
thing. And I like him actually. I really like he was my favorite character, honestly, in the whole movie because he was just a genuinely nice dude, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah.
he wasn't a hero, he was just a nice person, and I was
I don't
like,
know. I think they tried to make him into quite a bit of a hero at the end, though. I mean, they had him taking his shirt off. Well, he's in his like wife beater thing and he's breaking the mop handle. He's like, I'm going to go save the girl. So they tried to crank up the hero a little bit at the end,
a
but
little bit, but even him, like, it was so funny because the other guy was saying, you're the reason why we're back here to the girl,
yeah.
because he wanted to come in there, and he was like, "Oh, I also wanted to help everybody else and not just you, but you're
No,
also what I want." Yeah.
he likes a girl. He wanted to save the girl.
It was weird. How did he know she was going to be there, or was that accident? Because he
Oh, I
jokes
think that
about
was
stalking
totally
her, but like, did he really?
no, I think that was totally accident. I think they both just found the same, thing about the study. They're both broke college students. I mean, I don't know. I did dumb things for money when I was a broke college student. I remember nothing that
You didn't do this. You didn't do a
no,
dream.
nothing this dumb. No, no.
Well,
But
I mean, the only dumb thing is the one dude, Scratch, I think is his name.
yeah.
It was just he always goes there like every month. He's a new test
Now,
subject
is it dumb or is it genius? Because he doesn't have to work a day in his life. He just signs up for all these
for
studies.
2,000 a month. I don't know. Like that. That
I
doesn't
mean,
sound like
if
a
you've got a
lot.
bunch of roommates, you could swing that. Shoot.
I guess.
He was
Yeah.
young and healthy. He didn't need health insurance. He was good to go.
Well, he did need something at the end. That's
Yeah.
yeah. So but yeah, so she finds out about the drug thing, I guess the facility, and she goes there, but like they pick the worst time ever to do a trial thing because there's about to be a blizzard. And instead of
Yep.
going, that's probably a bad idea to have you guys all be in here during a blizzard. Let's just send you guys
Right.
home. You guys can come back next week or the week after when there's no blizzard. Like they knew that they had to have known like there was going to be a nasty snow, thing right up there or whatever. Like, I'm sure they had the Weather Channel, like, this isn't the 1950s or something where,
Yeah, but
you
they
know,
were under all that pressure from that the corporate goon that keeps coming in every now and then. They show him at the beginning giving the big inspirational speech about this miraculous new drug they're working on. And then the next thing is his personality changes like that, and he's instantly, hey nerd, make this stuff happen so I can make a lot of money,
mm,
and your job is riding on this. I mean, they were under a lot of pressure from their corporate overlords. So
yeah, are you saying the cigar chomping,
that's the one. Yeah,
that
yeah.
so annoyed me. I wanted to talk about that. Nobody smokes a cigar as quickly as that guy does. Like, he will go, and then 2 minutes later he smokes it like it's like weed or something. Like,
But it's and also they made such a big deal at the beginning about how this is a top secret research facility and there's so much stuff in there that can kill you. And he's just walking around with a cigar. It's like, you don't think there might be flammable things and chemicals, and what are you doing? Just, I mean, can you imagine somebody walking into the CDC with a cigar and just being like, "Sup, dudes? Really?"
yeah, that's that was a little
Anthony Fauci runs
ridiculous.
up, "Put that out."
That would happen, you
Oh
know.
my gosh. Yeah.
Um,
So that
but
was
there
a
were
little unrealistic.
yeah, it was a little unrealistic. It was a little annoying. I was just like,
Mhm.
really, like, it was because that was that character,
Yeah.
like, but you never see him smoke a cigar until then, and then you're all of us like, if he were smoking the cigar when he's inside the research talking to everybody, like, that's one thing. But when he's just like, all of a sudden he's a cigar smoker, I'm like, a little weird,
It's
like
convenient to the plot.
it is. I mean, as Paul would say, the plot demands it, because, like,
Hmm.
literally has to happen in order for everything to, like, blow up. But before all that, there's that happens. So it's just a little annoying, but understandable for
Did
plot.
you did you know what was going to happen? Like as soon as he started trying to get into the room and he had that lit cigar, did you already know?
No, because I didn't think about that. I wasn't like, I was
Yeah.
so distracted by the fact that this guy had a cigar inside the building that I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it was going to be used for something.
Yeah,
Like,
I was thinking about it. I think as soon as he got the door open, I was like, "Oh crap," because I remembered seeing the stuff dripping from the ceiling and thinking, "What could that be?" And then thinking, "It's got to be gasoline or something flammable, and something's going to happen to catch it on fire, and that's how this doctor's going to die." So as soon as he
so you
opened that
got
door,
it.
I was like,
Yep.
"See, maybe I must have had that drug. I've got the premonition."
Yeah. You
Yeah,
saw it right
but
before it
I
happened.
definitely saw it, but not until like I didn't like when he first stepped out, like a really someone who's really paying attention probably could have got it as soon as he stepped out of that car with the cigar because they did a big close up on it, and you'd be like, well, why is this significant? And somebody who's really paying attention probably would have went, the gasoline in the room with the doctor. That's how he's going to die. But I was not that smart. It took me until he actually had the door open to go,
Until, yeah,
oh,
oh,
it's going
that's
to
gonna
go
happen.
boom. Yeah, that's going to
It's gonna
happen.
go boom. And
Mhm.
so yeah, he was but anyway, we haven't even gotten to that part yet, I guess. So
Okay,
we're
yeah, yeah.
still we're still kind of talking about the introduction. So yeah, the
Well,
lab facility.
time is no longer linear. Remember, we can do
Yeah,
whatever we
this
want.
movie we could do whatever. You could talk. I mean, I always go off tangents and talk about other stuff. Anyway, um, so all right, so they get there. The girl gets there. She gets there late, apparently, or I guess, or whatever,
Yeah,
and shows up. She asks some questions. Then the guy, the cigar smoking whatever guy, is kind of annoyed by her already. Like, how dare you interrupt my thing and ask decent questions to us, or whatever that everybody needs to know. And then and then one guy gets mad because they said basically uh they could do it. He was like, why am I only doing it once a month then if this is
yeah,
something that you guys
yeah,
need all the time?
yeah.
Um, Probably so they don't pay the same person, you know, so much, like, what I mean? But
Or,
I bet that dude would be there every weekend if he
or
could.
drug interactions, you know? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe they need to wait 30 days to clear out all the other drugs from your system that they were just testing on you.
yeah, because you don't want like two drugs to like counteract each other or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I get it. So yeah, so the dude goes once a month, and I'm just like, all right, dude.
So
You
he
know,
was actually my favorite character.
he was. He's
Yeah,
yours.
I like the comic relief people all the time.
Yeah, he was.
All
He
the
was the
time.
goof guy. Who
But he was still like a really decent dude, and he really like redeemed himself. He's kind of like Eddie Munson in Stranger Things or something. He redeems himself
yeah.
at the end, and he's never horrible, he's
Weird
not a
thing, I liked Eddie Munson
jerk.
from the very second I met him
Oh,
on
did you?
yeah, I was just like, I like
I
this
did.
guy.
All right, I did too. Maybe that's not the best example,
Yeah,
but
well, I'm just saying, I mean, but this guy, I like this guy the second I met him. I was like, you know what I mean? Like he came off as like, all right, this guy's gonna be a cool dude to like watch.
yeah,
I was like, I hope he doesn't die first.
yeah, he was funny but not obnoxious.
And by the way, we're talking about this guy right here, by the
Yes,
way.
this guy, the cute one. Yeah.
I know who's like behind the guy I like. So,
Yeah.
we got our two guys here. And
Hmm.
I mean, as far as the girls go, there wasn't that many. There were like basically two, that were
That
like
were featured.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
And
were
then
the
there were,
main people, or whatever. And the main girl, I thought she was okay, but
yeah.
I feel like for a movie that's like pretty much her, it went on to other people a lot more and stuff, and
Hmm.
didn't really concentrate on focus on her a lot. And she really, other than the ending, she really didn't do much,
Yeah.
except she
Yeah.
knew how everybody was going to die, I guess, and
Hmm.
stuff. But she didn't really do much. Like she had to, like, everybody else kind of did it, and then she did it at the end, because and we'll get into that later.
But the way she does it was pretty spectacular. So I got to give her that.
And that's what we'll definitely talk about later. But before then, so you meet kind of the other girls, and, especially uh, Kristen with the K. I don't know why she had to tell us that, because I don't think I ever spell Kristen with the C much, but you know, and I mean, she's trying to get people to write her name down. I don't know. Like, I never liked that. I was like, I'm Jonathan with a J. Like, people like, okay, thanks, thanks for telling me how to write your name.
I'm Kristen with a Q.
That'll be interesting. See, now that would be different, and stuff, and I'd be like, that's cool. Why do that's like a conversation starter. But just saying I'm Kristen with the K, you're like, okay,
She's just
thanks.
your garden variety, innocuous sorority girl.
Yeah, but I kind of liked her. So, like I said, she was the girl that's in, the Green Inferno, and she was in
Hmm.
a ton of other horror films and stuff. She was also in that Death Wish movie with Bruce Willis. She had a part in that,
Okay.
and so she's been in a bunch of stuff. And she's really super sweet and funny. She's usually sort of the comic relief. She
Oh,
wasn't the
really?
comic relief in
Yeah,
this.
she played a really good, sorority type, kind of spoiled rich girl. She did that well.
Yeah, she didn't really have
Yeah.
that many funny lines though.
No,
Everything
but
funny went to this guy.
yeah, yeah. But, it shows that she can act in all sorts of different ways. That's cool.
Yeah,
She's
she was really.
versatile.
I liked her. So we get to the pool table, I guess, right? Or is that no? Well, I guess they took the drugs first, and some of
Hmm.
them are going to have the effect, and some of them are going to have the placebo effect,
Right.
right? So they take the drugs, and they don't know what the effects are. They're not supposed to know, because they even say, if you know, then you might think you have it when you don't
Right.
have it,
Right.
and everything, if you don't know you've had it, which really annoyed me, because so the one dude that we haven't talked about, there's this guy who's kind of this egocentric asshole, arrogant jock
Yeah.
guy or whatever. He's like trying to impress the girls with playing pool, and he shoots a shot, that he thinks he's gonna end it, and it bounces off. And then all of a sudden it goes back to, it almost felt like Final Destination, you know?
I was hoping you were going to make that because this felt very much like Final Destination to me. Very
Like
similar.
it wanna be Final Destination, but without the fun, cool shit, with that. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, we'll get into that. But
Minus the ultra gore for sure.
yeah, the ultra gore and the fact that, like, it would have been cool if just one person had the effect, right? So
Mhm.
like that one girl saw how everybody was gonna die, or whatever. And the only other thing I don't like is I did not like that idea that there was somebody that also had this thing that, you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
would.
but I mean, I think it just shows that the drug affected people in different ways, and some people must have had um, a predisposition to having these visions or seeing the future and all this stuff because she probably got the same dose as this guy because it was a controlled experiment and it affected her more than it affected him. So he could see things in the future, but he was just seeing little piddly stuff and she was seeing like big life-changing things. I don't know.
Right.
I think that's consistent with like how some people have stronger reactions to certain drugs than other people do. That's definitely a thing.
Well, Kristen had the same thing as him, right? Because she saw like conversations that were going to happen and stuff. And then
Yeah.
she saw the whole thing happen, it was like a premonition of what's going to happen, and it happened. And
Right,
then
right.
she talked to her, she talked to the guy too about it. What is
And
it?
she saw the other girl in the bathroom.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
she had it too.
she had it too, a little bit. Not as bad as the main girl,
Mhm.
but more like what the what was his name? It was something. Um, most it was something. Um,
Yeah. I can't remember. I remember the guy you like is Den. The funny guy is Scratch.
yeah, Marcus.
Marcus. I thought it started with an M. I was going to call him Michael. Marcus. Yeah.
Which was Pascal? Was that the bad guy? That
Yeah.
was the bad guy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the which you don't you see him at the end. You don't really see him until then or whatever. And
Until the first time you see him is when they find the video.
yeah,
Yeah.
where he's like talking, like doing an interview, or
Hmm.
whatever, and
Yeah.
stuff. And apparently he knows
With
they're
the
gonna.
researchers. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows that they're gonna be there, so he like says some stuff. Um, but yeah, so Den, yeah, that's. Did you know it was Dennis? Did
Oh,
he ever say
really?
that?
No, I missed that. His
I
full name was Dennis, but they call him Den.
uh-huh. So it's Dennis Den Ferguson. He was the only one who had a last name, except
But
for
he
like the
makes, but
doctors.
it's funny because he makes a big deal at the beginning of like when he says his name is Den to the girl that he obviously likes, and she's like, Den? And he's like, yeah. And then he says some really like, I'm sorry, but some really hokey shit. He's like, like a place where woodland creatures, find respite or something like that. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
But then he never says, but it's short for Dennis, but
right.
what a dork.
So
Anyway,
now
he's
it's
getting
short
on
for
her.
Dennis. That's
Okay.
funny.
Noted.
Um, so yeah, so
Or
they
like a cozy room. Shut up, Dan.
so Marcus is told not to right, like to say anything, don't say anything to anybody, but we don't see him say that to Kristen's character, Kristen,
Oh,
at
really?
all, right? So she goes and blabbers the whole thing to everybody.
No, he did too, though. They were both talking about it. I don't.
No, because she said something to him like, don't you have the same thing? He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, because
Oh, you
he's
know
not
what? You're
allowed.
right. You're right because he says something about what happened to him right after it happens, and then they call him into the office and say, "Don't say anything more about it." And
And
he
then
doesn't.
she
You're
walks
right.
in at
You're
the
right.
same
You're right.
time, and he actually says that, don't say anything to anybody about this in front of Kristen, right? So I
Oh yeah,
assumed,
because she was just coming into the office at that
right.
time. Yeah.
So I would assume that she would have been told not to say
But
anything either.
okay, but put yourself in their shoes. First of all, they're practically teenagers, right? And if this
Right.
stuff was happening to you, would you just sit there and not talk about it? Come on.
I
Come
mean, no,
on.
no, but like, no, but I
Are
mean,
you that much of a rule follower, Moody?
I don't know. I don't know how I would be if I'm like in college and trying to survive, and all of a sudden I see people fucking, like I'm seeing the future before it happens and shit. That would probably freak me out.
Yeah, I don't think
Um,
anybody would be able to not talk about that.
right.
That's crazy.
Which, I mean, but I get why, they're trying to tell them like, don't do it, because then everybody's gonna start thinking they're
That they are
they
having it.
that
Mhm.
they're having it when they're not. It's the placebo effect, right?
Yeah, they
So
think that they have had it, even though they hadn't. Yeah.
speaking of which, the dude Den looks very much
Mhm.
like Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When I
That's
was
who okay, thank you. He was reminding me of somebody, and I see it now. Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
God, he looks
Okay.
familiar.
So
Okay,
when I
thank you.
watched this and started hearing placebo, I started thinking of the Charlie one where he took a placebo and he thought it was like the drug that made him smarter than everybody. So he like
Oh,
alienates everybody and he starts,
I
whatever.
didn't see that one.
Oh God.
Charlie's my favorite
You
character.
would love
So,
it. It's Charlie Flowers for Charlie or something like that.
oh, yeah, and you know why they call it that?
Flowers for Algernon.
Yes, there you
Yes.
go.
No.
You know
So
yourself some classic literature.
I know of it. I've never read it, so I
I
can't say
read
that
it in
like
middle
whatever.
school. Yeah.
But I know the title, and I know, and I knew that when I heard Flowers for Charlie, it had to be Flowers for Algernon,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
a
Now I'm
reference
gonna
to
have to
that.
go look that up because Charlie's my favorite.
It's
And
one of the. It's a great episode. It's
uh,
hilarious. But yeah, when I saw him, I was like, I said the same thing. I go, he looks familiar.
he does
He
look
doesn't sound like Mac or
like
anything, but he
his
looks like him,
eyes. Yeah, there's a lot.
and
I'm
his
looking at the
hair maybe
picture
a
right
little bit
now.
too.
His
And
eyes, eyebrows, even this part of his face. Gosh, that's crazy. Okay, thank you for pointing that out
yeah,
because
now Nathan Kress
everybody
could work.
Google it. Everybody Google it. He looks just
He
like
could he
him.
could be his brother, could play his brother in
Maybe.
something. But yeah, I absolutely like. I think when I saw him, I was like, oh, okay, and I knew like because when I think I first saw this, the two main guys, the two guys or whatever, Mac, Jesus, Den and Marcus,
Mhm.
look a lot like each other to the point where at some points I would just be like, which one is this? They're not. Now that I watched it again, I could
Yeah.
definitely tell, but like I think the first time it's just they kind of blended in together, and I think that might also be the writing too, as like their characters are just too similar as
I
far as
don't
like
I don't feel like their characters are similar, but I will admit that the older I get, the more young people all look the same to me. So I mean, I could totally see that. But
yeah.
I didn't
um
think their characters were very similar because the one guy was almost too nice to be real, like too
right.
good of a person to be real. And the other guy was almost like too much of a jerk to be real, except I have met people that were that much of a jerk. So that was pretty believable to me.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's an asshole, like all right,
Well,
that
met a
that
couple
seems
of
about
those.
right.
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds about right. He was good. I mean, I liked him. I liked that he died in a hallway and they can't explain anything else.
Yeah. It's like, can you give me something more to go on? Sorry,
Because
hallway.
you're like, I'm in a hallway right now,
And he says, this place is nothing but hallways.
Yeah,
Well, sucks to be you. That's what you get for being a jerk.
I know. If you were a lot nicer, if you weren't this arrogant little prick, maybe.
Then maybe you would have gotten the pool like Den.
Well, I was surprised he even went back with Den to to save everybody or whatever, because
Yeah.
I would have thought the first thing he would have done is be like, "Fuck you guys, I'm leaving,
Right.
I'm
And
taking off,
leaving them stranded. Yeah.
yeah,
That
or
was
whatever, and I'll go
surprising
get
and,
help."
and
But
nice.
that's it. Um,
Was there
but
some other reason? Like they didn't like forget the keys or something, did they? I
no,
couldn't.
No, because he had the keys. Remember, he
Yeah.
gave them the keys so that they could keep warm inside the car or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like I think Scratch had the
How,
keys.
oh, oh, did he the whole time and he never left either? Because that was some part that I missed was Scratch was waiting for them in the car. Why was Scratch still in the car?
Why was he cold though? Like
Well, because yeah, I thought he didn't have the keys
he
because
didn't.
he was
Um,
cold, and then he went in and then he tried to start the snowmobile. Remember that?
yeah, I
So I
do
don't
remember
think
that.
Scratch had the keys. I don't. I'd have to. I guess I'd have to see that part again because I can't remember. Um, what was I doing? Did I get up and go to the bathroom or something? I just don't even remember how Scratch ended up by himself in the car
I
without
remember
the
how they
keys.
ended up in the car is everybody. So at first it was everybody but the main girl because they she was still trapped inside the place. So
Strapped
they
down
all
to the
left.
gurney. Yeah.
Yeah, so they all left and they were in the car and Den was like, I gotta go back, and save everybody, And then the other guy said he would go with him or whatever. And then Kristen is in the car with Scratch, and Scratch is like, do you want to have some body heat and blah 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 blah. And she's like, I'm gonna leave, and she takes off and follows everybody else.
Oh, poor Scratch. Nobody loves Scratch.
Nobody gives him any Scratch. You
Okay,
know,
Scratch, come over to my house. We'll take care of you. We love you, Scratch.
he's a sweet guy. Sadly, he dies, but he only dies because he's an idiot and takes the fucking drug later. Do you remember that part? Like he actually takes.
I think he would have died anyway, but okay, so you're gonna have to help explain this part to me, or maybe I need to watch it again, but
I don't know if I can
so
explain things. We'll see.
okay, so at first I didn't realize that when he was looking through all those little vials of drugs that he had, that one of them was the
Well,
experimental.
well, you didn't because he was like looking at it and he goes, dream or or something like that, and he goes
I thought he said like
hallucinogenics,
hallucination. Yeah, hallucinogenics.
hallucinogenics.
I
So
think he,
then, and that's the one he takes. I'm like, why would you take that?
but I don't think that's what he took. I think he actually took the same thing that the others took.
Right, which he thought was an hallucinogenic.
Oh, wait. No. Maybe it was a hallucinogenic because he saw in his mind different ways he was going to die. And then he runs over to the garage and tries to get in there. And what's his name? Pascal tries to grab him. And then he runs back to the car and gets in and he gets stabbed. So was that him hallucinating Pascal at the garage?
I don't know because
Because he
that
couldn't be in
part
both
confused
places at
me.
once.
Because
Okay.
yeah, you can't be in two places at once. So I thought for a second there was like a second killer, like or
Yeah.
something. But no, there
So
was
so
never a
now
second
okay,
killer.
so my official theory until I go back and watch the scene again and see if I missed something is that he takes the hallucinogenic thing because he's just bored and trying to keep himself warm and whatever.
I don't know
And
why that
then,
would keep you warm. I mean, I think
well,
that
I don't know, he's just trying to take the edge off, you know? It's like how
right.
people drink alcohol or something when they're really cold. It doesn't actually make you warmer, but it dulls the pain of being cold.
I
So,
guess I don't know. I never did that when I used to drink.
well, I've
And
never been in a situation where I was so cold that I was like, let's see if alcohol will help. So I couldn't tell you either. But I've
is
read
there
that.
there's warm alcohol? There's sake or something, right? Like warm
Oh,
sake.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
somebody could do that, but
hot toddy. But
yeah,
anyway, so that's what I think he did. I think he took the hallucinogen just because he was trying to get his mind off the fact that he was freezing to death. And then
right.
he goes over, he imagines his death in two different ways, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then he runs over to the garage and somebody tries to get him and he freaks out and he goes, okay, he's over there. I'm going to go to the car. And then he gets stabbed in the car. I think he was hallucinating Pascal at the
At the
garage.
at the
And then he
garage
gets in the truck and thinks he's all safe. And then,
because he knew he was gonna die that way because he saw his death in the car. Remember, we did see him get stabbed in the car or
but he saw
whatever.
himoself get stabbed under the garage door too. He
That's true.
hallucinated both ways of him dying.
Well, that's scary to think like that that drug would would confuse you as to
So
like which way are you going to actually die.
I'm not sure that he actually took that drug. I think that he just took the hallucinogen or something that was hallucinogenic. He hallucinated a fake Pascal at the garage, gets in the car, the real one's in the car.
But
That's my official theory until I watch the scene again. Because I was
yeah,
confused about that too.
I should have wrote more notes, or I should have wrote notes, period. I
Yeah.
don't do that really,
Well,
but
maybe people can leave in the comments or something, what they think happened there. That'd be cool.
what they think. But
Do comments.
explain if you worked
Uh-oh.
on this movie, please tell us. What were you, writers, what were you thinking when you made this movie? Because I have no idea. Like I don't really know. Um like I said, it felt like it would have been cooler had it not been so indie, you know? Like you know, had they had the chance to open it up and make it bigger,
Yeah.
like uh I think the biggest problem with this movie is just the one location. And that
Oh.
is such an indie thing. And it normally drives me nuts, but the fact that they go outside and almost every room in this place is almost its own, like it's its own place in a way, doesn't so it doesn't bother me. But if they were
You
like
know what
basically
else?
stuck in one place, I would go crazy,
But
you
you
know.
know what else is one location? Hamlet. So you know what? One location doesn't necessarily mean you can't do a good
Right,
film.
for a play, for sure. You know.
I think some films can do well in one. I mean, like 12 Angry Men, that's a brilliant film. And it's one scene in one room.
It's also a play. Plays are great when they get transcribed into this. This is not a play, and this can't be a play, I don't think. Maybe
Well,
it could.
probably not. But I'm just saying, I don't necessarily think if the acting is great and the plot is great, I don't think, and the characters are great, I don't think that it matters if there's a lot of different locations.
Mm, I'll agree. But I don't know. There's only a few movies that have like won me over with one location, and those movies are like Lifeboat by Alfred Hitchcock, because anybody can really, do that. It's Alfred
Yep.
Hitchcock for me. And then there was Clerks, but that's
Yeah.
two locations technically.
How
you
about
know.
have you seen those movies where they fall over the side of a boat and they're just out in the water? I think it's
Oh,
called
like
Open Water.
open water, yeah.
Yeah, that's one location, and that's
It's true.
suspenseful as. And
I
how about
know.
Castaway? Castaway was one location, and that was great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, there's some great ones. It's just very few, especially in indie
Yeah.
world, there's very few.
Well, it's hard
That
to do it. It's because it's hard to do it well. I mean,
right. And
yeah.
but that seems to be the thing these days is, you know what, we don't have a lot of money. Let's take this one location. Let's make a whole script around it. And if you don't do a good script, I feel like the movie fails. So this
sure.
movie I think had a pretty decent idea of what it wanted to do. And then I think it just over time got rewritten and rewritten until it just didn't make any sense almost, in a way. So yeah, so poor Scratch dies. And then later Marcus dies in the hallway, and Dan was supposed to drown, and they were like, where's water, and they had their great idea of like, if you can't see me drown, will it actually happen? It's sort of the what is that, Schrodinger's cat.
Yes. It's like the cat is both dead and alive until you open the box and look at it.
So until she goes and sees for her eyes, did he drown or not?
I wish they would have explored that angle further, because they talk about it a little bit and then they don't really try it. And
they don't do it. No.
And well, they do for a second, like the part where he pushes her off.
Pushes her off the thing and then says, I'm going to go.
And then he leaves. Yeah. Because he thinks maybe she's onto something. If she can't see me, then it won't happen. And then
she does the pills or whatever, the injection gets like even turbo
That's the most
drugs.
badass scene in the whole movie, in my opinion. I thought that was great, where
Yeah.
the doctor's like, no, 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 you can't that's way too high of a dosage. And she's just like taking the syringe and she's like
Well,
filling it up, and then she just jams it in her leg. And watch this, doc. And she's like eye contact with the doctor the whole time.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, she's already planning that she's gonna die, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
this guy's already gonna kill her.
She's
So
got
like
nothing to
what else
lose.
does she have
Yeah.
to lose at this
Mhm.
rate? If she dies
Yeah.
from the drugs or whatever, it's too high of a dosage and she dies, then whatever, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because the experiment's already failed, like
Right.
there's that no way that this doctor, after everybody dies, that this doctor is going to go, oh, it was a success. Let's move on from this drug, right? And let's start marketing it to the world. Now that would have been a cool ending though. Like all of a sudden everybody gets this drug like sent to them or something,
Or like seeing a factory and seeing the pills rolling out and the label on the jar.
Once again, ideas that would have cost a little bit more money than this movie had
Hey,
offered.
that left it open for a sequel, right?
Yeah, I mean it would have. But unfortunately, I don't think they did in this movie. I don't think they left it open for a sequel. It's just it would have been cool if they had somehow had like somebody go door to door and go, "Hi, we're giving away these drugs. They are
Right.
FDA approved, and they don't have
Yeah.
whatever, and here you go, and stuff like that." Um, so she goes to deal with the guy, um, Pascal, and everything, and she has like how many freaking visions does she have at that like ending? Like it was nuts. Like
She had a couple. Well, it's like she had it was almost like she had visions within visions,
mhm.
like she had a vision of what was going to happen, and then she had a shorter vision inside of that vision,
Yeah.
replaying the exact same thing in a slightly different way. That was kind of neat. I liked how they did that.
Well, but that's because I guess that's because she took the extra dose that, gave her like
Mm-hmm.
big
Mm-hmm.
thing. So now she's able to like even defeat this guy. But how does she defeat this guy? She jumps in the pool and saves the guy. That's
So
it.
she doesn't really defeat Pascal. He doesn't die.
He doesn't die. He
Yeah.
doesn't do anything. Like
Well,
when
like you see him at the very end, like up on the top of the building for a minute. You see him, like she looks up and he's up there looking at her, and then you hear the police cars coming.
mm,
So I don't know. Does he continue his rampage? Is he satisfied with the fact that he's destroyed all this research, or is he so insane at this point that he's got to continue killing people?
we're
I don't
killing
know.
these coming after these people
Oh
because
yeah,
I mean that was
I
literally.
can't imagine that he's going to leave these two alone.
Yeah, if he's gonna kill more people, they're on the top of his list.
Mm-hmm.
Which once again would have been something cool to end it on. However, I do understand like this movie already was like an hour and 40 something minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's long for a indie flick.
When
Generally
was it
speaking,
made?
2016, I believe.
Okay. I was wondering if they'd ever make a sequel, but it's been long enough that you'd think they
Yeah,
would have already. Yeah.
2015, 16. Like it says 2016 that it came out,
Mm-hmm.
but it might have been out like somewhere else, like before it made its official release. But yeah, it was released in 2016. 2016, I believe, was the year I met Kirby, and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so she was super sweet, told me some cool like information, and stuff. And she wasn't happy with the way she died, I don't think, but
Yeah.
understandable sort of when, you know, when
Yeah,
it's we forgot how to talk about how she died, and she goes down the shaft and then gets stuck. Well, something kicks her like a dead body or something.
Okay, I know what happened there. So she goes down the laundry chute, which
Mm.
for some reason is wrapped at the bottom with barbed wire. I'm assuming Pascal did that, right?
That was my take.
Yeah, because why would you have barbed wire in a laundry chute? And then she looks up and you see feet coming down towards her. I think that's Pascal. Pascal came down the chute after her.
You think so?
I mean, who else could it have been?
Well, I thought it was a dead body that the guy
Well,
killed
whose
because
body would it have
I
been?
don't know, because you saw blood on the uh remember you saw the blood on the stalls and stuff. So I just assumed somebody was dead. Somebody got murdered, but I don't know who.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. I don't know whose blood that was actually.
I don't know if that was just Pascal just put blood on there, or if that was like maybe the blood of the guy that died in the beginning of the movie,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
or the security guard guy, right?
or the security guard guy who did
Yeah,
die. Yeah, it could
because
have been.
he like his blood was like wiped all along the wall in that one
Eh.
scene. Yeah,
So it could have been his. Um, However, yeah, you're right. It probably wouldn't have been his body because you find his body later in the like hallway or whatever. Like they discover his
right.
body
I
and
think
stuff.
Pascal just followed her down the chute, kills her in there, and then he props her body up somewhere in that weird, creepy pose for somebody to find later.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think who was it that found
It
her?
was the girl, it was the main girl, Anna, right? Is her name?
Was it because didn't she like not know Kristen died?
She didn't at first, but this was way at the end
Oh,
when,
okay,
after he pushed her off into the snowdrift, she gets into the car, she turns the headlights on, and there's Kristen
okay, yeah,
in the headlights. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
But that's what makes her decide to go back in the building because she had seen Kristen's death, but it was different. She had
Yeah,
seen
and
it
that's why she
die
can
another
talk into
way.
the guy, to the um
Yeah.
to the doctor. So then later we see the cigar chomping guy who's freaking out because he thinks something bad's happened to his experiment, which is weird because because nobody's answering the phone, you think, like the power might be
Right.
out, like
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Like they're
Well, it
um
seems to me he must know a little bit then about what's happened in the past with these experiments and how badly they've gone. He must know some of this.
which I'm like wondering, why would you like peddle this stuff then? Like,
Because money, because money. It's clear that the only thing this guy cares about is money. I mean,
Yep,
there are many people like this in the world. We know this.
yep.
Pretty much control the entire world. So, we
All
know
right.
that they're out there.
So he comes back in. We talked about it briefly, but he comes in, sees the guy. The guy makes sure to shut the door, right? Gotta make
Mhm.
sure the door's shut. So the doctor and the cigar chumping investor or whatever guy, they start talking about everything, and he sort of kind of informs them a little bit of what's going on or whatever. And then, of course, he realizes that this was all set up, for him and
Yeah.
everything, and then the cigar guy puts out his cigar and
Yeah.
blows everything up. And with him inside the, thing,
In the safe room,
which,
ironically. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, safe room's not always so safe, is it?
Yep.
No. But that was after the other girl had already done all this stuff, told
Mhm.
him and everything. And so then the ending happens, everything, and then it just ends. It ends. And I'm
It
like,
does end kind of abruptly. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, okay, so they won in a way. Not really. I mean,
I
all she
mean,
did was take the guy out of the pool, you
she
know.
saves him from drowning, so he doesn't die in the way that she originally saw.
Mm-hmm.
But Pascal's still there, so
Well, I mean, what is he gonna do? Disappear? Like
yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like supernatural or anything, which I think it would have been cooler if it was, you know, like it would have been cooler if there was a supernatural element to it, like because really the idea of some guy going around killing everybody, and then like as we said, we don't even know if he was there, if it was hallucinations for Scratch, you're
Right.
gonna guess that it was, but we don't know. There was never any, you know, There's no clearly any kind of understanding for that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It was honestly, it was okay. Like it wasn't a bad movie. Um, I would probably watch it again.
Hmm.
I would hope that I understand it better the next time. And the next time, like it is one of those movies that probably takes you a couple times to really understand it. Problem is there's a problem with doing movies like that because some movies like Donnie Darko, you've seen that, right?
Right. Yeah.
That movie you need to like watch like more than once
Right.
because
Hmm.
you'll pick up stuff the next time. However, there's enough stuff in it the first time that makes you want to go back and watch it
And
again.
this one, I don't really have a ton of interest in watching it a second time.
Right. You said you might want to
Yeah.
see some of the stuff that you
Like
missed
I
or
would
whatever.
probably go back and watch certain scenes. Like I would watch the scene with Scratch, and whether or not he's just hallucinating a false Pascal and then the real one kills him. I would probably watch that again because but I would not go through and watch the whole movie, probably beginning to end again. I didn't like it that much. That being
Right.
said, I'm kind of a snob about, I don't know, I like classic literature and classic movies and stuff.
Hmm.
So, that being said, I thought this was a pretty decent movie. So, I'm not saying it's bad, but it doesn't like the first time I saw Donnie Darko or Mulholland Drive, I had to watch them again like immediately, like the
Right.
same night. I started it over and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch it again. And
Now I'll pick up on things I missed. This
exactly,
doesn't really
yeah.
have that feeling,
No,
you know.
no, no.
But
But overall, I did not think it was a bad movie. I thought it was a really interesting idea. I was wondering how exactly they were explaining that they could see the future because they did mention to that at some point time was no longer linear for Pascal. So how do they explain how time becomes not linear anymore? Is this like a quantum physics thing? Are they really thinking that deep about it? Or was this just kind of some throwaway,
they had to probably had to make some kind of explanation for stuff.
right, right. And that's more what it felt like. It was like a really quick, cheap explanation for how this is all working. And I didn't find the way that they were able to see the future as terribly plausible.
Mm,
Um,
no, I didn't either.
but I suppose if you really believe quantum physics is a thing, then you can believe in bending time and all that kind of stuff, and in which case this totally works. But I mean, are they really asking the audience to be fluent in quantum physics? Because I'm not.
I'm not.
I know that much. What I just told you is the extent of my knowledge. So,
But you know people who probably know this stuff or whatever. You could ask, but
I suppose. Okay, seriously, how many regular people know people who just really know a lot about quantum physics? I don't think it's that many
see,
people.
I was sort of lucky when we had Lenore as IOC. She was our resident science person, you know,
Okay,
and
so
everything.
you know Lenore.
Well, right, no, I mean, no, but I'm just saying, like, well, I was lucky. Somebody else, you're right, like some
So
random person
why
off
don't
the
we make
street.
Lenore watch this and ask her if this is quantum physics in action and see what she says? I
I
think we
don't,
should get her on it.
sure. You know, I always wanted to do, we were talking about it. See, there's a show that has like a lawyer who like watches shows and movies about lawyers, and then he goes and
Oh,
talks about
I've
how,
heard of this.
yeah, it's a great show on
Whether or not
YouTube.
it's like realistic, would this actually happen in a court of law or is this just for show? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
that's cool.
yeah. And I was talking to Paul and I was like, we gotta do a show with Lenore sometime. And even Paul said this, like Paul's come up with the idea too, that like have Lenore like basically debunk science fiction movies, you
That
know,
would be fun.
right?
I was
'Cause
I was watching a horror movie the other day called The Cellar. Have you seen this?
I've heard of it.
Okay, so a lot of it ends up revolving around a mathematical formula, and my mathematical education stops at pre-calculus, so like I didn't recognize the formula or anything. And Matt, my boyfriend, walks into the room and goes, "Why is there calculus on your screen? This is cool." And he sits down and watches for like 5 minutes, and then he's like, calculus summons the devil? What? I'm out of here. You know, he's like, this is stupid. But it was a simple derivative equation,
He
apparently.
figured it out.
Well, yeah, and he was like, okay, if that's all it takes to conjure Satan, then hang on, let me go out in the garage and try something, you know? But yeah, so I guess we could get Lenore and Matt together and he could debunk the math sides of it and she could do
She could
some
do
of
the
the
science.
physics and
Oh my
stuff.
god,
Yeah.
that would be an interesting show. I'm not gonna
That
lie.
would be fun.
But I don't
That
know
would be
how
really
much
fun.
like math there are in horror films and
Okay.
whatnot.
Well, apparently that one.
And that
And,
one
and
definitely.
yeah, you should just watch it sometime. It's actually not a terrible movie. I kind of liked it, but and then he was even quibbling about them talking about how this thing came from the 12th century and it was like before calculus was invented or something and he was all mad about the timeline of when calculus was invented. So,
We reviewed for our 80s horror films, we just reviewed Cutting Class. And in that movie, there's like a algebraic equation kind of thing. But you know, like if train A leaves from, you
oh
know, and
right.
train B leaves, blah blah, who will get to it first kind of thing. But except they don't add, if you look at the like the equation, it doesn't say like times or anything like that. So it doesn't, like there's
It
no
doesn't make
real,
any
it
sense.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's
And
like more
so
information needed.
yeah, and
Yeah,
it drives me nuts. Don't do math or science if you don't know math
math
or
and science.
science,
Yeah.
you know? And that's the thing, like, you know, you gotta be careful of these things, you know. I don't do science movies because I
Mhm.
don't know shit about science. And I mean, I could do research or I could get somebody to do it and check on it for me, but you know, like I don't usually feel like doing something unless I actually know what the fuck I'm doing, you know, when I
Right.
write and stuff. So if I had to do something like this, I wouldn't put any science in it at all. You know, there'd be no science. I
Right.
would just be like, okay, there's a pill, you take it, it shows you, you know, how you're gonna die. I also would have changed the title of this movie if I were writing it to tell me how you die, you know, because most of it
Mhm.
takes place about other people, not herself. So really, well, I guess no, never mind. Never mind. It does because they keep asking her, "How do I die?" So
Yeah.
tell me
And
how I
like
die.
Marcus, he gets so whiny about it. He's like, is it now? Oh my God, is it my turn now?
Yeah, that's true. So
Anyway,
yeah,
I'm sorry to get us on that tangent. I was just trying to think like, what's the plausible explanation for how this future seeing works? Because, and all they say is, well, time's not linear to him anymore. Well, what does
right.
that mean? You know, and the only thing I've ever heard that explains time not being linear is quantum physics and, you know, alternate universes and
Multiverses and all that Marvel
right. And
shit,
I'm
you know, you
like,
see now.
so really, they're just gonna scratch the surface and go, ting, you know, like that, and then move on from it. Like
Yeah,
that's
because
like,
that's all they need,
I mean, no
right?
big deal. Everybody knows that time isn't linear. Let's just move on. Like, no, I don't know that time's not linear. I really don't know that.
No, like,
So they
can you
needed to sell
explain
that.
that? Can you
They
expand
needed to
on that,
sell that
please?
to me a lot harder. Yeah,
Yeah, can you
I didn't
expand
find
that? Yeah,
I didn't find that part of the premise very plausible.
it's ridiculous.
At least
Mm.
in Final Destination, they get like an explanation for why this is happening, and it's something about like the universe being in balance, and if someone is supposed to die and they don't, they have to, otherwise there's too much life
Yeah,
and
if they
at one
don't, they
time.
skip to the next person. We
Right,
just did
right.
Final Destination for horror film lovers, the whole series,
Oh, did
you
you
know.
really?
Yeah, and it was fun. It was fun to rewatch those.
I
But
just watched those in the last like year or two. I'd never seen them. Like I had a whole period where I just didn't watch a lot of movies and I'd never seen those. And so Matt made me sit down and watch all of them. We did like a marathon. I think we watched them
mm,
all in one week.
well, they're all really, really good.
Hmm.
I guess out of the ones that I watched, number one is the best of all of them. But then I think number two was my second favorite because I absolutely love uh the what is it, log scene, like that's just, you know,
Yeah, that is great. That is great.
and the original creator is a friend of mine, and
Oh, really?
Jeffrey Reddick, and he actually came on the show and talked to us about it, and we were
Oh,
able
that's
to
so
pump him
cool.
for information about it. But I mean, the problem with it is he wrote the original script, right? Which was about a plane crash, and but it was completely different when what the new writers that took over
Hmm.
rewrote it and changed it to be something a lot different. Um, and it became the franchise it's become, you
Right.
know, and everything. And he's very happy, like, he's the creator of Final Destination, even though it's completely different than what he originally created, you
And
know?
still, it was his idea that
Yep.
started it all. Yeah,
Yep.
that's amazing.
Well, originally, I believe it was an X-Files episode that he wrote, and then he expanded into a
Oh,
feature.
I loved the X-Files so
Yeah,
much.
and then funny, then all of a sudden, X-Files people took over and directed and wrote it, so
I
and
didn't
produced it.
realize X-Files people did Final Destination.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
and it feels like X-Files, like it really does, except without Mulder and
Well,
Scully,
well, it's not as I mean, it's very dark, but it's not like ambient dark. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the foggy and everything being darkly lit and stuff. It's not like that.
Mhm.
That's what I think of when I think of X-Files. It's almost like a Hitchcock movie or something. But
Also, X-Files people worked on, I believe, Disturbing Behavior, which I love.
I haven't seen that. Is that a movie or a show?
It's a movie. It's really good.
Oh, disturbing behavior. I haven't
It's
seen it.
really it's about brain control, and stuff,
Huh.
mind control. It's really good. Um, but yeah, so this movie had some hope, had some, had a chance, but I think it just was too uh honestly, this is gonna sound bad once again, too indie. Like it didn't really, they didn't have the budget to really make this as great as they possibly could. And and then sometimes I feel like, sometimes it's good because then you can be creative and you can create these crazy things. I don't think they were creative enough when they had it. So I think it was just like, how do we explain that? Oh, quantum physics. How do we do that? Oh, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like it just it and you
Yeah.
saw things coming. You predicted things before it happened. The guy with the cigar and then the
Yeah.
blowing everybody
Well,
up. So when that happens, that's not usually good. That means if somebody who's a writer like myself does it, it's understandable because we write these things like a billion times, so we sort of know the formulas. When you sort of know the formula and everything, you kind of get it. You know, it it,
mhm.
it gets kind of like you know. So, but anyway, well, thank you so much for coming on the show
Hey, no
today.
problem. This was
Oh,
fun.
this was fun. I will definitely have you back next year. Might do one in person. Because that's going to be like next year. We're going to start in January, or I'm going to start in January. So I'm going to have a
Hmm.
lot of people throughout the whole year up until hopefully way before October. Because it's close to October right now that we're
Yeah.
doing this. So I'm
Yeah.
like, shit, I'm on a deadline. So
Yeah.
I got to get these cranked out. But thank you so much, and you're very welcome back. And uh, so you'll be on the sixth season again. You're on the fifth season, but you'll be on the sixth season again of Indie Film Cafe. And we can't wait to have you back in the studio to do
No,
another
thanks.
crazy movie.
Yes,
Uh,
those are fun too.
I
Those are really
know
fun.
Paul generally does it for you, and this is the first
Hmm.
time I picked something for you, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
you can sort of see the difference between me and Paul. But I don't think Paul can sit through this. This is not his type of movie. I don't think
yeah.
he would get bored.
Yeah.
Just not enough something happening. And but this sort of more of what I like to watch.
Hmm.
So we'll definitely have you back and probably for other shows too.
Oh, cool. Well, thank
Uh,
you.
oh, I know you'll be on Criterion Watch this season. So
That's right, because we're gonna do Citizen Kane at some point, right?
we can announce that now. Yep, we're doing.
Oh, was I spoiling something?
No, it's
Sorry.
fine. It's fine. I mean, Yeah, we're doing Citizen Kane in 4K, which will be really cool to watch. And
Yeah.
you'll get to see it for the first time. I've seen it, I think,
Hmm.
once or twice before, so it's still new to me, you know. I I I didn't love it, but I love what it is, you know, and that's why I'm doing it. And plus, I mean, I want to see, I mean, it's beautifully shot, so I can't wait to see it in
Yeah,
4K.
yeah. My roommate in college was a film major and she had posters of Citizen Kane like all over our apartment. I never got the chance to watch it though, and I can't believe I've gone this long without seeing like basically the best movie ever made, according to some people. So yeah, I'll never know that
AFI, yeah,
happened.
AFI has picked it as the best movie ever made. I don't think it's the best movie ever made. But it might be.
I'm
Because it
saying
just
according to some critics, according to some.
well, it's
Oh,
not like my friend John says this. It's the best movie ever made. It's not his favorite movie, you know, or
okay, I can
whatever.
get behind that. I
You
can see
know,
the distinction. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
But
there are things that are new and important and they advance like a genre or a field or something.
Night of the Living
And
Dead, I
yeah.
don't like zombies, so I for the longest time I didn't watch it. And then I did it for
Mhm.
Criterion Watch. I think one of the yeah, and Paul was surprised. Like, you picked this? Well, I thought you hated zombies. I'm like, I do, and I probably won't like this movie, but and then I loved it. I actually loved it. I thought it was really good, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
and
it's
it's
because it's like
important
the
to see
first
how
real like what we thought of as a zombie movie, you know, or
it's
whatever.
how it all started and that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got a history, but and it's political, and I think that's what I don't like about
Yep.
it.
Oh,
You
see, I
know,
like the political
I
stuff, so
hate, I don't like politics, so I don't like the nature of that stuff or
Mhm.
whatever. But it didn't seem to bother me when I watched it about the political stuff, so maybe I
Yeah.
really wasn't, you know, going deep into that, you
Well,
know,
and
or
it's
whatever.
not really in your face either. A lot of the stuff in that movie is symbolic,
Yeah,
and yeah, so
there you
I
go.
could see it.
Well,
But
thank you
anyway,
so much, and we'll have you back soon. And everybody else, join me tomorrow for a brand new episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I have no idea what's next yet, and I can't even guess because it'll probably change. So just get ready. It should be a fun show. So thank you so much. Bye.